They called it a moral recalibration. 12 capital cities, 99 million dead in less than 8 minutes. The galactic conquer didn't call it a war. There was no declaration, no ultimatum, just a sterile vote cast in orbit by beings who chirped and glimmered under artificial suns, a unanimous verdict. Humanity was unfit, too emotional, too volatile, too dangerous. On the broadcast, the insectoid delegate of the Very Hive blinked all four eyes at once and said, "Regret is wasteful, removal is final. Earth will be corrected before the next cycle." And just like that, it began. From low orbit, tungsten rods fell across the blue marble of home, no plasma fire, no dazzling beams, just silence, and the sound of a civilization being erased. Washington, Beijing, Lagos, Karachi, Sao Paulo all gone. No flames in the sky, no broadcasted screams. The galaxy had pulled a black curtain across humanity and waited for the echoes to die. Then the feed cut to static. The Federation expected panic. They expected desperate pleas, nuclear retaliation. They expected humans to scream, but Earth didn't scream. Earth paused. For a full day, the world went quiet. No transmissions, no signals, just static. And then, something impossible. Earth smiled, not with speeches or revengeos, but in smaller, quieter ways. A farmer in Montana brushed ash off his porch and poured black coffee. He muttered to no one, "Guess they finally went and did it." In an underground shelter beneath Manhattan, a teenage girl shuffled a worn deck of Uno cards. She grinned at her friends and said, "Guess school's canceled forever." And far below the deserts of Nevada, a forgotten elevator hissed open. An old man stepped out. White hair, one eye, medals across his chest that history had stopped recording. He limped into a conference room of 27 people, no nameplates, no flags, just coffee mugs and silence. He placed a cane against the table, cracked his knuckles, and said quietly, "They killed 99 million of us." No one argued. A woman at the far end poured bourbon into her tea. The old man continued, "Are the assets in place?" A voice replied from the shadows, "They've been waiting since '87. And the contingencies? Activated." "Good," the old man said. His one eye caught the overhead light. "Then it's time." He opened a red folder stamped Boogeyman Protocol. His tone didn't rise. "This isn't revenge," he said. "This is housekeeping." While deep in orbit, the alien diplomats toasted their victory. A triarch from the Zelvan Accord raised a translucent glass. "To peace," it said, "without predators." The Arthax delegate, a telepathic fungus sealed in a crystal tank, pulsed violet. "We predict mild unrest among the survivors. Prepare empathy teams." "Let them grieve," another agreed. "It will keep them docile." They clinked glasses, unaware that Earth was no longer transmitting distress signals. No petitions, no pleas, no screams, only silence. The kind that hums in ancient catacombs and war graves. Then came the first message. A reconnaissance drone returned from Earth orbit. No data feed, no telemetry, just a small package wrapped in human leather. Inside, a single eye, still blinking. Attached was a note, written in 7 galactic dialects. "You called, we answered." 3 weeks later, the Federation Council met again, this time in fear. "Has Earth made contact?" An admiral demanded. "No," murmured the Zerlani Oracle, her silver eyes veiled. "They've gone dark." "Have they retaliated?" "Not directly." The room fell into uneasy silence. "Then what does that mean?" The Oracle looked up. Her voice was a whisper. "It means," she said, "there is movement in their shadows." The chamber lights dimmed. Doors hissed open, and into the Grand Council Hall stepped a man, unarmed, unmarked, uninvited. He wore no armor, no insignia, just a black suit that looked one press away from clean, and a coffee cup that steamed faintly in the sterile alien air. Every guard froze, every translator node glitched. The council's chairwoman, gills flicking in disbelief, rasped, "State your designation." The man took a slow sip, winced slightly. "You know," he said conversationally, "for all your advancements, you people still can't make decent coffee. Tastes like cough syrup and battery acid." Weapons clicked into position. He ignored them. "My name's Kane," he said at last. "Rank? Irrelevant." "Kane," the chairwoman repeated, tasting the word like a slur. "You stand before this council unauthorized. Explain yourself." Kane set his coffee down. "You sterilized our planet," he said softly, "and now you're asking for explanations." A Zelvan admiral shifted in his seat, mandibles tightening. "Are you threatening this council?" Kane's lips twitched. "Threatening?" He chuckled once without warmth. "No, this—" He gestured to the briefcase he had set beside him. "This is a response. The threatening part comes later." Two guards moved closer. Kane didn't flinch. "Easy," he murmured. "It's just paperwork." He flipped open the case inside. No wires, no explosives, just a small metal box. He set it on the table. "What is that?" one of the delegates demanded. "Proof," Kane said, "and a question." The box clicked once, then a hologram rose, a blurred feed of 12 alien ships, all destroyed, no survivors. "Last week," Kane said. "Zeta System, Patrol Squadron." Gasps, clicks, pulsing lights. "You claim this was humans?" "I don't claim anything," Kane replied. "I'm just here to let you know what's coming." A reptilian envoy snarled, "You dare stand before this council and speak in riddles?" Kane turned his head toward him, slow as gravity. "Riddles?" he said. "No, lessons." Another delegate leaned forward. "How many of your kind still live?" Kane's eyes flicked up, cold and distant. "Enough." The room fell silent. Finally the oracle spoke, voice trembling like silken wind. "What do you want, human?" Kane blinked once. "You killed 99 million of us," he said quietly. "Teachers, children, a grandmother who made the best damn apple pie in Kansas." He straightened. "You don't get to ask what we want. You get to wonder what happens next." He turned to leave. The guards stepped in his path. Kane didn't reach for a weapon. He didn't need to. He just looked at them. And one of them, a creature bred for war, flinched, stepping back. He walked out without another word. Elsewhere on Earth, winter began early. In the frozen wastes of Alaska, a man walked into a blizzard carrying a duffel bag. He never came back. In Tokyo, a woman in a silk kimono stitched a crimson flower into her coat and loaded a pistol with bullets etched by hand. In Detroit, a priest locked the church doors and descended into the basement. No pews waited below, only weapons. And in orbit, the Galactic Council watched, uneasy. They told themselves humanity was broken, a fractured species nursing its wounds in the dark. But systems were already going silent. Listening posts, erased. Research colonies, gone dark. Records corrupted by something the analysts couldn't explain. A single classified memo appeared in the Federation's archive before being locked away. The message read, "They're not coming. They're already here." And somewhere aboard an observation post on the edge of Sector 3-5, a junior technician squinted into his telescope. He saw a shape, too small for a ship, too fast for debris. A human gliding between wreckage on a stolen gravity sled. In one hand, he carried something metallic. The tech zoomed in. It was a coin. The human looked up, met the lens, and smiled, then flipped the coin. And as it spun, every system on that station went dark. Far below the frozen crust of Greenland, a single light burned. A war room without walls, hidden from every telescope and satellite that once mapped the Earth. Kane stood before a cracked mirror. Same black suit, same tired eyes. He adjusted his tie like a man preparing for confession, not war. Behind him, Agent June loaded a suppressor onto a matte black pistol. She hummed something old and human, maybe a lullaby. "Baba Yaga's already hit 5 systems," she said. "Left another tooth in a data vault. No one's decoded it yet." Kane's reflection didn't smile. "It's not a code," he said. "It's a message." "What's it say?" He straightened his collar. "That he's bored," June snorted, checking the weapon slide. Poor galaxy. Outside, blizzards whispered across the buried world. The snow hissed softly like the planet itself was holding its breath. On the outer rim of the Zelvin Accord, General Jida stood before a tactical wall filled with red warning icons. Entire outposts. Gone no explosions. No distress calls. Just silence. He pointed a trembling claw. Explain. A technician swallowed hard. Sir, the entire Theta 7 garrison was sterilized, no breach detected, no energy residue. Jaita stepped closer. Then how? The young tech hesitated, holding up a tablet. We found this on one of the consoles. Scrawled by hand, in permanent marker. Too slow. 3 ambassadors vanished next. Their luxury diplomatic cruiser departed on schedule. Full security detail. Every manifest confirmed. 3 days later, the ship drifted lifeless above a barren moon engines, cold. Lights dim. No blood, no bodies. Inside the dining room, 3 plates, untouched. 3 suits, neatly folded on the chairs. A note in the center. We don't knock. The galaxy began to whisper the word no one had dared in centuries. Boogeymen. Once it was a joke, a human myth about nameless agents who didn't exist. The ghosts of Earth's governments, trained to erase threats before they had names. Now those ghosts had stepped into the light, and they carried no banners, only purpose. Admiral Voos of the Tix Collective slammed a clawed fist against her command table. Her entire fleet gone. They'd been charting residual human communication patterns. Now nothing remained but wreckage. She gritted her teeth. What's left of the distress signal? An aide trembled, replaying the fragment. A human voice, calm and polite. We'd prefer to be left alone. We're not angry, we're efficient. The Admiral stared at the console until the alloy beneath her claws began to bend. Find them, she hissed. I want names. The aide's voice cracked. They don't leave names, ma'am. They leave warnings. Meanwhile, Kane sat alone in the dark, reading dossiers one by one, each marked with a code name, each stamped with a mission summary written in an older, colder font. Some were surgical, greater than erase a database. Destroy a relay. Wipe memory of Earth from an entire species archive. Others were symbolic. Appear in a crowded market, vanish again. Make the children cry. They remember best. Kane didn't flinch. He only added one new name at the top of the list, Yaga under it, in his own handwriting. Do not brief, do not track, just watch for smoke. On Threxel, a desert mining world owned by the Arthax Empire. Night fell early. Guards watching the perimeter scanners saw a lone figure walking barefoot across the sub-zero dunes. Deploy drones, the commander barked. 30 seconds later, the drones fell from the ski. The figure reached the fence, stepped through the gate, and vanished inside the facility. When reinforcements arrived, they found no one left alive. No damage, no fire, just the receptionist bell ringing, echoing down empty corridors. Footage later recovered showed a single silhouette pausing beside a vending machine. He inserted a coin, selected a pack of gum, then walked away. The galaxy's strongest civilizations had counted humanity out. They'd measured them in the language of science, not grief. But they were learning now that human wrath didn't roar. It whispered, and when it moved, the universe held its breath. The hall of the Galactic Summit hung in orbit above Sirac Prime. On him, a spiral of light and alloy coiled like a seashell. From above, it shimmered like hope. From within, it reeked of denial. 97 delegates from 73 species filled the chamber. They came dressed in silks, scales, and arrogance. Convinced the fire was out, they spoke of containment and rehabilitation. They drafted proposals to regulate the few surviving humans. Some even debated how to censor Earth's remaining cultural archives. They sing after death, muttered a hive-born envoy. That alone should concern us. The golden-skinned Zelvan ambassador waved a delicate hand. Let them sing. Let them write poems. Their teeth are gone. A low hum of agreement rolled through the room until a sound cut it apart. A cough, human, dry, small, real. Every translator note hiccuped. Every guard turned. At the far edge of the hall, beneath a mural depicting galactic unity, a man stood, no armor, no escort, just a black suit, wrinkled at the elbows, a satchel over one shoulder, and a steaming cup of coffee in his hand. Is that Kane? Someone whispered. He wasn't cleared for entry. Kane walked forward like gravity didn't quite apply to him. Each step echoed faintly wrong, as if the floor hesitated to carry him. Hope this isn't a bad time, he said. The covey downstairs is still awful. The chairwoman rose, voice taut as wire. You are not authorized to be here. Kane smiled faintly. You mean you didn't invite me? Silence spread like frost over glass. You're alone, said a voice from the Balfu warcast. Kane looked around, amused. Am I? Scanners activated. Sensors swept the air. No weapons, no signals, no anomalies. Just a man standing where no man should be. The chairwoman hissed, Your species is under sanction. You will be escorted. Sanction, Kane repeated softly. That's a fancy word, kind of like massacre, but with extra syllables. You violated contact laws. No, Kane said. We sent a message. You deleted it. You were warned. He took a step forward. You were warned what would happen if you ever touched our soil. The chamber dimmed, not from power loss, but from every being forgetting how to breathe. Kane reached into his satchel, drew out an alien skull, charred, polished, still wearing fragments of its ornate crest. I believe this belonged to a Sarnak admiral, he said. Found him floating near Jupiter's rings, thought I'd return it. Gasps, pulsing lights, someone fainted. The very noble hissed, Are you threatening us again? Kane's gaze hardened. No, I'm remembering you. He let the skull roll onto the table. It thudded softly like a gavel ending something holy. You killed 99 million of us, he said. Teachers, children, a woman who made apple pie for her neighbors. You called it preemptive. The Zelvan envoy snarled. We feared retaliation. Kane's voice darkened, the calm cracking to steel. Retaliation is personal. He leaned closer. What's coming is policy. The room went still. You can't possibly think Earth has the capacity for escalation. The ambassador spat. You are broken. Funny thing about humans, Kane said. We don't need armies. We have traditions. From the hive cluster, a voice trembled. You mean the Boogeymen? Kane took another sip. Nice to see our bedtime stories are circulating. No one laughed. He flicked his fingers at the chamber's map display. 17 systems lit up red. Gone, Kane said simply, in the last 9 days. The chairwoman swallowed hard. By whom? Kane smiled thinly. Let me ask you something. Why were your elite defense stations infiltrated without alarms? Why do your recordings always end a second before the screaming starts? He let it hang there, then softly. We sent one person to each site. One. The oracle's voice trembled. Impossible. Improbable, Kane corrected. But not impossible, that's your mistake. Assuming our limits are yours. The Arthax fungus dimmed to a bruised violet. What are you? Kane's eyes flicked toward her. You already named us. He set down his cup. You called us demons. A murmur swept the hall. You said we smile too easily, forgive too little, love too fiercely, and grieve like wildfire. He nodded slowly, and you were right. The chamber had shrunk, not in size, in presence. Every delegate, every telepathic mind, every creature that had once called itself a ruler of stars now leaned inward, whispering across dry tongues and damp antennae. The air trembled with words they didn't dare speak aloud. Kane stood in the center of that silence. He looked neither triumphant nor angry, just heard. The chairwoman of the council finally rose, her gills fluttering like paper in wind. You have made your point, human. What do you want? Kane's gaze lowered to the table between them. You killed 99 million of us without asking what we would do next, he said. Now you ask what we want. That's rich. She tried to stand tall, claws clicking. We underestimated your species. She hesitated, searching for the phrase, emotional resonance. Kane tilted his head, faintly amused. Is that what you call it now? We offer reparations. He didn't blink. Instead, he reached into his satchel and placed a small box on the table. No locks, no hinges. Then open it, he said. The chairwoman hesitated, then touched the lid. A soft hiss escaped, and ash drifted out. Fine, gray, almost weightless. This was a child, Kane said. Her name was Eva. She was 8. She wanted to design playgrounds on Mars. The silence that followed had weight. Even the telepathic species fell quiet, withdrawing from each other's minds. She was one of 99 million, Kane continued softly, so I brought you one. Several delegates looked away. The Arthax fungus dimmed its glow to black. Someone whispered a prayer that had no translation. Kane reached again into the box and pulled out a single object. A coin. He didn't toss it this time. He walked it to the center of the galaxy's holographic map and placed it there. On a tiny world spinning in the outer dark. The chairwoman frowned. What system is that? 87K, Kane replied. Uninhabited. Former mining colony. You'll give us that. You want a planet? She said, incredulous. Kane met her eyes. We want 50. The chamber erupted. Protests, screeches, clicking mandibles. The translator nodes overloaded. Sparks dancing across the air. Kane waited until the noise burned itself out. You sterilized 12 of ours, he said calmly. You owe us sanctuary, not as guests, not as slaves, as owners. That's impossible, the very noble snapped. A violation of every interstellar accord. Kane raised one finger. Every comm line in the room went to static. The lights flickered once, twice when they steadied. His tone was quiet again. You don't get to say impossible. Not anymore. The chairwoman's voice trembled. These terms are extreme. Yes, Kane said, like what you did. He began walking slowly around the table. You want peace, he said, but you're not sorry. You're just scared. He tapped the coin. A projection bloomed above the table. Footage from the edge of the galaxy ships exploding. Worlds flickering out. Alien assassins falling to a single figure each time. In every clip, one sound repeated underneath the destruction. A heartbeat, steady, human. The Oracle leaned forward, her voice barely a breath. These are your boogeymen? Kane didn't answer, because someone else did. A voice rolled through the chamber like thunder under silk. Rough, cold, human. From the far doorway, a man entered. Tall, broad-shouldered coat, dark as coal dust. Each step left faint trails of ash on the pristine floor. No introductions, no file, but everyone knew. Baba Yaga, someone whispered. He stopped beside Kane, didn't speak for several heartbeats. Then 3 words left his mouth. Quiet, deliberate, heavy as iron. Treaty of Ashes. Kane gave a small nod. That's what we're calling it, he said. You'll sign it. The chairwoman stammered. And if we refuse? Kane turned to look at the man beside him. Baba Yaga smiled. It was a small smile, human, polite, and somehow the coldest thing anyone in that room had ever seen. Kane faced the council again. Then, he said softly, we stopped being polite. 30 seconds later, the room agreed. Not out of reason, out of terror. The signing took less than 2 minutes. No speeches, no celebration, just trembling claws and shivering appendages pressing symbols onto a glowing tablet that would burn itself into galactic law forever. The document was written in red. Its title, The Treaty of Ashes. Clause 1, 50 systems ceded to human control. Clause 2, complete withdrawal from open all territories deemed haunted. Clause 3, no surveillance, no taxation. Clause 4, no record or pursuit of the boogeymen ever. Clause 5, Earth recognized as a neutral sovereign force. The treaty sealed itself in a pulse of scarlet light, and just like that, the galaxy bent its knee to the species it had tried to erase. When the chamber began to clear, no one spoke. Delegates hurried out, their eyes lowered, their bodies trembling, with the realization that something ancient had just turned over in the dark. The mighty Arthax, the luminous Zelvin, the psychic hives, each of them left the room a little smaller than they'd entered. Kane lingered behind. He stood over the table, hands resting on the cold alloy surface where the skull still sat. The room was quiet except for the faint hum of the station's orbit. You should know something, he said finally. The chairwoman paused at the exit, barely able to lift her gaze. Her voice broke. What is it? Kane's eyes met hers. This wasn't revenge. She frowned, confused. Then what was it? He leaned closer, just enough for her to see the tiredness behind his gaze, the grief buried deep beneath the steel. This, he said softly, was Earth reminding you what happens when you open the wrong door. Behind him, Baba Yaga turned and began to walk away. His boots left thin trails of ash that glowed faintly against the polished floor, like the remnants of a dying star. He didn't look back. He didn't need to, Kane followed. But before he reached the door, he paused. Something small glinted between his fingers. A coin. He tossed it lightly over his shoulder. It clattered once against the floor and spun until it came to rest. This time, it didn't land heads or tails. It landed face up. A child's face, smiling, and beneath the engraving, words carved in tiny, perfect letters. You started it. We just finished saying hello. Outside the station, the galaxy itself seemed to hesitate. Long-range sensors flickered across entire quadrants. 1,000 ships powered down their weapons. Commanders whispered orders to hold. And somewhere in the void, among the cold ruins of forgotten colonies and burned fleets, something shifted. Not light, not mass, something smaller, quieter. A presence, a shadow that carried memory instead of malice. A whisper that echoed in the silence left behind. They called it the moment the galaxy remembered how small it really was. Years later, the story spread. No two versions agreed. Some said the Boogeymen still walked among the stars, unseen, unheard, but watching. Others said they'd gone home, satisfied, their mission complete. But one thing never changed. Across every civilization, every world that survived the war, one phrase became taboo. A phrase no diplomat dared utter, no soldier dared mock. They're only human, because the galaxy had learned, painfully, quietly, that humanity didn't roar when wounded. It whispered, it smiled, and when it finally stood up, the stars themselves learned how to tremble. On a quiet morning in Alaska, the old man with one eye sat on his porch. The air was cold. The snow still smelled faintly of ozone and victory. He poured himself a cup of coffee. Steam rose, catching the sunrise. About time they remembered, he murmured. And as the first light broke over the horizon, somewhere, far out in the black, a coin flipped in zero gravity. It turned once, twice, then vanished into the dark. The galaxy would never see it again. But it would feel it for as long as there were stars.